Hold on, let me make myself look tall. How do I look?
Great. What up, what up, what up, Madalbees? Today you're getting a Q&A after all of our Hawaii travel vlogs because I'm sure you are feeling very similar, but we're very overwhelmed in life and with everything going on in the world. Many topics which we are undoubtedly going to get to in today's video, but you're getting a Q&A nonetheless, which a lot of you seem to love these. So make sure you're following us on Instagram. Me, Madison, and Tippy's Instagram are all linked in the description.
These lights make me feel like I'm gonna cry. I'm already tearing up.
We have the house locked down because it is 4 o'clock in the afternoon, right around when we hit peak temperature here in San Antonio. All blinds closed means lights are on. You're just gonna have to suck it up. We're just gonna have to roll with it. It's gonna be fine. Madison's gonna go first.
JPAR15 wants to know, what's your current favorite TV show to watch together and separate? I think, as you all may know, we don't have a TV in the house. I have like a monitor slash TV thing, but I use it for work. I would probably have to say Stranger Things, just because we don't have any shows, but that's what we just sat down and like binge watched since the season just came out. Highly recommend. Separate, just when we have spare time, I do watch something on Netflix every now and then. It's just on the trending
murder shows. We sit down every now and then and we're like, oh, let's watch something, and I'll go through the like murder genre and I'm like, oh, we watched this one. I've never watched it, but all the series have been watched, and then we'll go to the next one and I'm like, I haven't seen this one, and they've all been watched. This one is a big murder person apparently.
Yeah, that's true. I'll own that. I'll own that. I do watch a lot of murder stuff.
I don't ever watch Netflix. I never watch a Netflix show by myself. I don't watch TV by myself ever. Yeah. I don't think. I watch YouTube and you'll catch me on TikTok, but you won't really see me watching like TV. I pick ski. I see this person all the time everywhere. Shout out to you. Do you miss your long hair? Yeah, I think I do.
Yeah, she does.
Is that bad? I don't know. I started using heat on my hair towards the end of last year. Many of you will know I finally learned how to curl my hair the way I like, and I could see a visible difference in my hair because of that.
Yeah.
Because for years I had not colored my hair, had not put heat on my hair. I hadn't used conditioner in like years, and I was starting to see the effects of that on my hair, and it was like, okay, well, it's time to cut it. So I thought I just need to trim it to make it healthier, that sort of thing. And then I went a little crazy because like half of Instagram said I should cut my hair. Yeah, I kind of wish I hadn't. It'll grow back. It'll be fine. I also kind of like it at this length. I don't know, but I preferred it longer.
Jocelyn Watson had a question on, what is it like being a farmer's kid and now an environmentalist? I mean, I was a farmer's kid and grew up
more like a rancher's kid, okay, by the way.
We're rescuing them. Here they come.
These are the hungry hippos. Neither of these look bad. That one either. Farmers are different.
True, farmers a little much. My dad's a rancher. It's not very different. This is kind of hard to explain. I mean, I did grow up helping my dad, and like he still does the work he does today where he basically raises cattle to take them for auction. I don't eat beef, and I don't really help him with the family business much besides going to the pasture.
The family business?
Besides going to the pasture, feeding them cubes, and taking some pictures, and he's always got like plenty of work that needs to be done around the ranch.
Well, I would say like only him being a rancher only played a role in your life for like a few years anyway. That's like true. He wasn't in her life in that capacity for most of her like formative years.
Yeah.
So it's not like you were like on the ranch all the time and like, you know what I mean?
That's a good point. My mother actually did raise me, and my father was kind of absent. More so in my adulthood, we've kind of made amends. I didn't really have much of an experience as like a rancher kid besides when it was like his turn for custody and stuff like that. Uh-oh, this is sticking straight up. Put it in.
Like, I wonder if they were asking like when you were younger you thought farming was really interesting or cool, or maybe you just didn't realize the environmental impacts of it and now you do. Like, do you see it differently than you did as a kid?
I guess I definitely see it differently in that aspect. I mean, I know a lot more than I did then, and I never thought it was really cool. It was honestly kind of viewed as a form of punishment for me.
I mean, you're out in the Texas heat fixing fences for hours and he wouldn't feed them? No, of course you don't think farming, ranching is fucking cool.
Yeah, I never had a good perspective there with thinking it was cool for multiple reasons, and then finding out on top of it that like it's not great for the environment. It's just like icing on the cake of why I'm not getting passed down all that ranching stuff that he does. But
to be fair, obviously ranching the way he does is much more sustainable than like the way 98% of meat is grown. So yes, there's that. Okay, I don't want to say y'all's names wrong, but we'll say Debs for this one. It says, hi guys, love your channel. Thank you. What is your next vacation vacation slash adventure. And I'm actually really excited to say we don't have one planned. We've had travels planned for like the last 2 years. Every time we got back from one, we knew when the next one would be. At least the like extended trips that were like long distance travel. I realized the other day I counted how many states I've been to, and I have been to 42 of the 50 states. And I would really love it if I could say I had been to all 50 by the time I was 30.
That's in January.
Yeah, so I think we could get all of them in if I really was dedicated to it, except for Alaska. And so what's the benefit of saying 42 versus 49? I just know we're not gonna get to Alaska before January. With that being said, I do hope that next year we can get those finished, and then we will start to look abroad. That's always kind of been the goal for me personally. I don't know how you feel, but when I was in college, I knew all these people who had been to Europe and to all these other places, but like not to the national park in our own state. And I always thought that was so weird. And so college and like early graduation after college was full of like Texas, Texas, Texas. If you've noticed, a lot of our travels since we've been on the internet have been the US. And then I think after you've seen enough of those things, then like go on outside of that. I am excited to say that like we're gonna get back into a routine. We're not gonna be gone all the time. That's exciting to me for right now.
Brianne wants to know, will you two be expanding your video time? The short videos aren't long enough. Well, Brianne, analytics still say overall you like to see videos around 13 minutes or so, but I think at this point with the way things have been, we're gonna get more comfortable with just posting what we have. I think it's more important for us to stay consistent than to really look at like shooting for like we need to go out and make a 30-minute video, because there's already a lot going on mentally with just like us processing the world, and the last thing we need is additional stress of trying to hit like a certain target and make a video a certain length when like we're just happy to, one, be filming our lives, and two, be giving you all something to watch.
I second all of that. I think when we travel with family, it's hard to video, and so that's why there's been a few vlogs that were shorter than what you get when we're at home and we're just filming our weekend. And then if you notice, like we got back from Hawaii and kind of kept breaking up the Hawaii vlogs because we have not been in the headspace to vlog in general. And I get questions like in my DMs, like, is something wrong with the vlog channel because we missed 1 week of an upload? And it was definitely out of character for us, but things were just really heavy. And I guess we'll get into that stuff. One of your questions: how has Roe versus Wade and the potential for queerness slash queer marriage to be illegal again impacted you? And the answer is heavily. So just this question alone, the potential of queer marriage being illegal again, from my understanding, pre-gay marriage being legal in the States.
Sorry, this topic is very upsetting.
Oh, I didn't know you were gonna cry. Yeah, we're gonna talk about it, and I think that's another reason we wanted to do the Q&A is just, there's a lot here, and we've been processing it for a while already, and it's still obviously a lot. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I need a moment.
Okay.
This is the reality of how I feel, but I'm gonna try to keep myself together to answer these questions.
I think that's a really frustrating part of this too, is that, well, I don't know how you feel, but I always feel like my emotions are a burden. Like I feel like having these strong emotions I've already channeled into rage as to not break down like this, because I feel like people who don't understand just see it as you making a big deal out of like potential or something that's like not that big of a deal because it's not gonna impact you. I mean, like a lot of these emotions are coming from the fear of what's going to happen with same-sex couples and our rights and all those sort of things, but I'm equally enraged about the things that have happened with Roe versus Wade and the impacts that's going to have on so many people's lives for every single reason. Even though, because I'm in a same-sex relationship, I don't have a high likelihood of ever needing an abortion, God forbid other things happen that we all know do happen prevalently, it's still a lot. And I feel like people will judge you if you have emotions like this and like you're blowing things out of proportion, but we're not. This is like real fucking life. But to answer this question specifically, I don't, from my understanding, okay, I don't know how this is gonna play out if things continue to progress. But from my understanding, before same-sex marriage was legal in Texas, you could go get married in California and Texas had to recognize your marriage. I don't know what limits there are to that, but I mean, that's what I know. That's what I know, and I'm hoping that's the way it plays out. That's as much as I think it's going to impact us legally speaking. Obviously, emotionally speaking and culturally speaking, there's a lot more that can go into that.
I got this.
You don't got it.
After Judge Thomas came out and said what cases he would be going after next, I looked at Shelby and I was like, you know, no matter what happens, since they're trying to come for gay rights, you will always be wifey. We obviously need a lighthearted moment because I cannot deal. So I'm gonna read a lighthearted question. This question from iPixie says, how are y'all feeling about the leg? Honestly, it is
the legs.
me off and you're like, the legs. They're referring to
The
when we
legs.
were in LA like a month and a half ago and we got sugared and they ripped all of the hair off of our legs. Due to the growth being stunted from the sugaring process, my hair has not fully recovered to what it was
Recovered?
at all. And I'm honestly a little sad because I thought my blankets were gonna grow back in real thick and nice, but they're very sparse and like,
Are they very?
they're just not good like they used to be.
They're just
before.
not good.
And it's kind of upsetting because look, this is like more than a month and it used to be full coverage.
I like how you tell them don't look like they can see all the way over here.
I'm gonna zoom it.
It definitely is like all of my hair has not grown back, if that makes sense. Like it's more sparse. The hairs are not as dense. Yeah, that's the word.
Yeah. I don't know if it'll ever come back to be the way that it was. but
I'm here for
hopeful.
it. I'm hoping that it doesn't. Why? Why do you want it to grow back?
Because I liked it. I used to like how it would keep my legs warm. And now it doesn't. I just look down there.
Maybe that's why I don't want it to
Sad.
grow back. I don't want to be warm.
Like my little fuzzy sweaters.
Okay, so we split the questions up obviously between Madison and myself. And I know from here on out that the questions are heavy. So are you ready or you're not? I'm serious.
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try.
So here are all the questions that kind of go together, and we're just gonna talk about it the way we've been experiencing it. It's several questions from you guys. Jade says, so Texas, if the elections don't turn things around, are you all planning on staying? This person says, do you ever think about leaving Texas or leaving the US? And this person wants to know, how is house hunting going? So this is the situation. All the crazy stuff going on in the federal government is terrifying, but Texas also has created an entire referendum and is planning to put seceding the United States to a vote next year. And while you may be thinking to yourself, as I was, that's not possible, that won't happen, that can't happen, I thought the same fucking thing about all the stuff that is happening. With that being said, within the referendum that Texas Republicans have drafted, it calls for many things, taking certain things out of schools and putting certain things in, as in erasing history and putting in forced religion, Christian religion that is. Of course, they want to do away with same-sex marriage, and they want to do away with abortion and all the other things that are in this referendum. But the thing that scares me the most is that as they're taking rights away from same-sex people in same-sex relationships, I worry that we won't be able to adopt kids in this state. I worry that if we had kids in this state, they would be forced to learn things and only be subjected to things that are not conducive to how we plan to raise our kids. Like, we are in agreement of all these things. And as a lot of you know, we plan to start looking for a house. We plan to start doing it at the beginning of this year, but then things have just been so busy with all of our travels that we hadn't applied for a house and we hadn't really started looking. And we literally were planning to apply this week. This week is when we were planning to apply to get pre-approvals, and that's when all this stuff started happening. For the first time in a very serious way, we are considering not staying in Texas. I mean, we haven't made any decisions, and it's a really weird thing to say. I just want to like kind of turn the camera back at people who are asking that as if it's casual, because it's absolutely not an easy decision to make, and I don't think it's something that people should be saying or asking in a joking way. Like, it's a very serious decision we are now forced to make. Do we want to put the effort and money into buying a home in Austin where we plan to stay for the next 20 years, or do we need to leave because we might literally be in danger if we stay? I don't think that's something people should casually be asking people on the internet, and I think it's people did it because they don't see it that way. And I get the curiosity and I get the concern and I understand why people are asking, but I don't know, it's scary. It's really scary that we've joked about it, right? I hate Texas. Everyone knows I hate the culture of Texas. I hate the weather of Texas, but this is my home. This is where my family is. And despite how much I hate it, I plan to live here for the next at least 20 years. Like, seriously, for the first time, very seriously, I'm considering that that just might not be our future.
I can't say a whole lot or I'll break down again, but I agree with everything she's saying. We've talked about it, so she's the representative for this portion of the Q&A.
Like I said, I've already turned a lot of my emotions into rage. I'm really angry. I've already started the process of taking a big step back from work to focus on grassroots organizing and hopefully replacing Greg Abbott this year. The polls are saying that's not going to happen, but that's really my last hope, is that we can replace Abbott and then kind of work our way down. That's where we're at. I hate to say it on the internet because I feel like now people think we're moving. Like, that's that, and we're moving. And whatever I say, things are still very much in process and I think that's why a lot of people don't talk about these things on the internet, because it's a lot of processing and decision making that's heavy and hard and faceted. Whether we stay in Texas or not is up for debate. I think we're still gonna continue house hunting, just not with the intention that that's our forever home anymore. And we're not adopting kids on the timeline that we thought we were because of all of this, for sure.
I mean, we've talked about it, and we did think we were on this like trajectory to do certain things at a certain time, and now that's just all up in the air because of everything. I don't know. It's even getting to the point where it's like, do we have kids? I can't even protect myself from certain things, and like inviting a kid to like have to do that for them too. It's hard enough to just do it for us.
Yeah, this is definitely the first time I've ever been afraid to stay here. Like, I think people have asked us over the years, like, will you leave Texas? Do you hate Texas? Are you scared? Whatever. And I've never felt that way, but I definitely feel it for the first time. I'm scared. Angry and scared. On that note, something not so, no, it's still heavy. It's still very heavy. Londa wants to know, do you want children? Which I find interesting. People ask the kids question constantly. What do you think about the environmental impact of it? And I've never talked about this publicly because I think it's a slippery slope to say people shouldn't have kids because of the environmental impact, especially because like we are human beings, and like most other mammals on this planet are like nature, our instincts tell us to have kids. Like, that's just instinctual. And so I think it would be a very far-fetched to tell people who care about the planet to stop having kids. And so that's never been like I'm not dying on that stake, you know. But definitely like bringing a whole other life into this world, especially in Western culture where we have incredibly high resource footprints, it does like create a whole new environmental footprint. And it's something to consider, I guess. I think, you know, if you care about that stuff, obviously adoption, fostering, those sort of things are incredibly important, and not just for the environmental impact, obviously for like the good of society and that sort of stuff. That's always been our goal, is to adopt, and we've said that many times. Who knows what that process will actually look like when the time comes. I think that's how I feel about the environmental impact of kids.
I mean, I agree with that. I think another thing to think about is when we do have kids, it'll be a really good environmental impact because they'll be learning from people like us, right?
Right, yeah, I've heard that discussion as well. Like, if the smart people who realize the problems in the world, or like are afraid of them and like realize how fucked up it is and care about the environment, stop having kids, and all we have left is like these people over here. I think there's something to be said for that, I guess. Adoption is obviously the best option, but I understand that's not accessible for most people, and like, don't get me started on the system, okay?
I also think that just goes into, you can't do all the good the world needs, but the world needs all the good you can do. Oh yeah?
Okay.
I threw it out there. Because, I mean, there are so many other ways that you can live your life, like thinking about sustainability, environmental impact. If you want to have kids, have kids. If you don't, don't. We're going to move back into some more lighthearted stuff so we don't leave you all on like a crazy note. But Sarah wants to know, what's your favorite lazy vegan meals, like when you don't feel like doing work? Let me tell you, being with someone whose favorite food group is carbs, we definitely go to pasta. Like, if we're feeling lazy, we don't want to cook, we have tons of pasta. Get you some veggies that are like over there on the counter, or like on the verge of going bad, and just throw it in there. With pasta, it just doesn't, I mean, you got peas, you got lettuce, you got kale.
Throw the kale, throw the spinach, throw the tomatoes, throw the peas, like everything. I'll throw whatever in there.
Cook it all up, and I don't think I've ever messed up a pasta.
It's kind of hard to mess up pasta.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just want to make sure you put something acidic in it, so like a vinegar or like a citrus. That's pretty much it. Once you've done that, I think you're fine.
Yeah.
And I'll throw anything in the little NutriBullet we have. I put in there the other day like carrot tops, spinach, leftover kale stems, and made a great sauce.
That was a dope pesto.
It's like whatever you can make. And then also, I feel like if you put tofu, rice, and a vegetable together, it's easy. You don't have to think about it, and you can put any sauce on it. My favorite sauce would be sriracha, and then she puts teriyaki on like everything.
I love sriracha too, though. Just, yeah. Good. Except
she doesn't do that. She puts it on bite by bite, and she puts like a teaspoon on every bite she takes.
Sometimes I do both. Sometimes and then I also put it in per bite. You can never have enough sriracha.
Those are two, like, you can't mess them up, and they're super easy to make. And we'll do one more happy question from Stephanie. What was the most surprising / shocking thing you learned or saw while in Hawaii? You think about that. I have an answer. I knew that Hawaii was part of Polynesia, but I did not know that Hawaiians most likely came from Tahiti 3,000 years ago, and that, like, according to history and like the best estimates, they would have had to be in a boat, like whatever boats boats they took over from Tahiti to Hawaii for almost 2 years to get there. That's insane.
Yeah.
I thought that was the craziest thing, that some people that long ago set off into the ocean having no idea if or what else was out there. And also that they hit Hawaii, right? Because it's so small, they could have just sailed right past it and not seen it, and that they didn't have GPSs. They just navigated by the stuff. That shit is crazy to me. That is crazy.
That is pretty wild. I thought that was really cool too. Me, you told me to think, and I was. Yes, I was. What?
I just hope you leave that in. That was great.
What?
I think that was great.
Straight up the most shocking thing. It is crazy, guys. The most shocking thing about Hawaii is that there are no predators. I've never been anywhere else, at least that I know of, that didn't have any predators. We got there and there were chickens roaming around everywhere, and I'm like, that ain't right. Something's supposed to be eating them. So then you start Googling stuff up and you're like, well, there's nothing to eat them. So they just roam around, like nobody bothers them. And I especially think this is wild because coming from Texas, when I'm just going for a walk down the street, I gotta worry about snakes and everything else trying to attack me.
Only snakes. We don't have a lot of predators in Texas either. Like we don't, well, we have mountain lions, but like you don't have to worry about them. We don't have bears. We have coyotes, but they're not gonna fuck with a human. But snakes? Yeah. No snakes is pretty crazy.
Or I'm like just walking around trying to pick up trash and lunch, get lunch.
You guys remember that vlog? Yeah.
Oh, snake.
Are you holding me? Don't hold me. Oh, I see it.
Oh. No. I'm like, dude, I'm just trying to enjoy my life like the chickens of Hawaii over here. But I can't live like that. But that is something I found very surprising. What are you doing?
Let's get ready to talk.
You look like you're about to blow a house down. You're like this.
Okay, are you ready? Well, that was a lot for a Q&A, but it felt necessary to address the things that we did and then to incorporate your lighthearted comments. But to be fair, most of the questions were about, are you moving out of Texas? Where are you moving? What's your plan? And yeah, I just also want to close this out by saying, please don't ask us about that. Don't ask us if we're leaving Texas, when we're leaving Texas. We'll let you know when we're ready, because it is a very hard thing to talk about and decide. Definitively, as of right now, we are going to continue to look at homes in Austin, and we'll just see where that takes us. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next week, we will catch you later, Maddelbees.